The story of the Knights Templar is one of history's most dramatic tales. It's a story of faith, power, and betrayal. These warrior monks appeared in a time of great conflict and change. They became incredibly powerful, creating a legend that still fascinates us today. Were they holy knights, dedicated to protecting the innocent? Or were they a secretive order, hoarding wealth and power for themselves? The answer is, well, pretty complex, and it begins in the dusty, dangerous roads of the Holy Land. To understand them, we really have to travel back in time to the aftermath of the First Crusade, a period filled with both religious zeal and brutal reality. Following the First Crusade's success in the year 1099, European Christians controlled Jerusalem. But the victory was precarious. Pilgrims from across Christendom flocked to see the holy sites, undertaking a long and perilous journey. The roads leading to the Holy City were infested with bandits and marauders who preyed on these vulnerable travelers. It was a chaotic and violent landscape. The newly established Crusader states just didn't have the manpower to secure every route. For many pilgrims, their journey of faith often ended in robbery or death, a pretty grim reality that called for a new kind of solution, a new type of defender to rise from the chaos. Around the year 1119, a French knight named Hugues de Payen d'Agencis had an idea. He and 8 other knights approached King Baldwin II of Jerusalem with a radical proposal. They offered to form a monastic order dedicated to protecting these pilgrims. They would be monks but also soldiers. They took vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, just like other religious orders. Their official name was the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon. This humble name, however, would soon stand in stark contrast to the immense power and wealth they would come to command across the known world. King Baldwin II granted the knights a special headquarters. He gave them a wing of the Al-Aqsa Mosque on the Temple Mount, a site Christians believed was the location of the biblical Temple of Solomon. It was from this sacred and strategic location that they took their more famous name, the Knights Templar. Rumors began almost immediately. People whispered that the knights were not just standing guard, they were digging. They were said to be searching for lost holy relics from the original temple, perhaps even the Ark of the Covenant, or the Holy Grail itself. These early whispers of hidden secrets would follow the Templars throughout their history. The Knights Templar lived a life of strict discipline and religious devotion. They were warrior monks, blending the rigor of the monastery with the harsh realities of the battlefield. Their daily lives were structured around prayer, military training, and tending to their horses and equipment. They were forbidden from engaging in worldly pleasures. Gambling, hunting, and even associating with women were strictly prohibited. Their uniform was a simple white mantle, which was later adorned with a distinctive red cross. This cross, granted to them by Pope Eugenius III, was a powerful symbol. It represented their willingness to be martyrs for their faith, to shed their blood in defense of Christendom. The order's initial growth was slow. For the first decade, they struggled to attract new recruits and funding. Their breakthrough came when one of their founders, André de Montbard, and the influential abbot Bernard of Clairvaux championed their cause. Bernard wrote a famous treatise in praise of the new knighthood, which portrayed the Templars as the embodiment of Christian ideals. He argued they were a new kind of holy warrior, fighting a just war for God. This powerful endorsement from one of Europe's most respected religious figures was a turning point. It gave the Templars legitimacy and sparked a wave of support across the continent. Donations began to pour in. Noble families, eager to contribute to the defense of the Holy Land, gave the Templars land, castles, and money. Younger sons of noble houses who would not inherit family titles flocked to join the order, seeking purpose and adventure. The Templars were granted special privileges directly from the Pope. In a series of papal bulls, they were exempted from paying local taxes and were allowed to answer only to the Pope himself. This made them independent of the authority of kings, princes, and local bishops, creating a unique, transnational organization that operated above the laws of individual kingdoms. This independence and growing wealth allowed the Templars to become a formidable military force. They built a network of massive castles and fortifications across the Crusader states and Europe. Magnificent strongholds like Crac de Chevalier, though later held by the Hospitallers, are prime examples of the military architecture of the era, and the Templars built many like them. They were the elite shock troops of the Crusader armies, feared by their enemies for their discipline and ferocity in battle. Their famous cavalry charges, where a small group of knights could break through much larger enemy formations, became legendary on the battlefields of the Middle East. The Templars' vast network of properties across Europe and the Middle East required a sophisticated system of management. This logistical challenge led them to innovate in a field far from the battlefield: finance. As pilgrims and nobles traveled to the Holy Land, carrying large sums of money was incredibly risky. The Templars offered a brilliant solution. A person could deposit their money at a Templar preceptory or commandery in London or Paris. They would receive a coded letter of credit. Upon arriving in Jerusalem, they could present this letter to the Templars there and withdraw an equivalent sum, minus a fee. This system was, in essence, the world's first international banking network. This financial system made the Templars incredibly wealthy and indispensable to the economy of medieval Europe. Kings and nobles began using them as their personal bankers. They stored their treasures in Templar vaults and took out loans to fund their wars and build their kingdoms. The Paris Temple, the Templars' headquarters in the city, became a treasury for the French crown. The order developed complex accounting methods and employed a large staff of administrators to manage these vast sums. They were no longer just soldiers, they were financiers, landowners, and a major economic power, controlling a financial empire that stretched from England to the Holy Land. Their wealth, however, was not just kept in vaults. It was put to work. The Templars used their income to fund their primary mission, defending the Crusader states. They maintained a standing army, built and garrisoned castles, and equipped fleets of ships. Their financial strength allowed them to operate on a scale that no single monarch could match. This enormous power, combined with their secrecy and their special relationship with the Pope, began to stir feelings of jealousy and suspicion. People wondered about the true extent of their riches and the secrets they might be guarding within their heavily fortified temples. Legends grew around the Templar treasure. It was said to be more than just gold and silver. Rumors circulated that their true wealth was a collection of holy relics, secret knowledge, or even a great naval fleet. These stories were fueled by the order's secretive nature. Their initiation ceremonies were private, and they were sworn to secrecy about the internal affairs of the order. This lack of transparency, which was designed to protect them, eventually made them vulnerable. Their immense wealth and power, combined with the whispers of hidden secrets, created a dangerous combination that would ultimately be used against them. By the end of the 13th century, the tide was definitely turning against the Crusaders. In the year 1291, the city of Acre, which was the last major Christian stronghold in the Holy Land, fell to the Mamluk forces. The Templars, who fought bravely right up to the last man, were forced to retreat to Cyprus. Their original mission, to protect pilgrims and defend the Holy Land, was now, well, gone. They found themselves as a military order without a war to fight. Yet, oddly enough, they remained an incredibly wealthy and powerful organization, with vast landholdings and quite sophisticated financial operations all across Europe. This, of course, made them a target, especially for one very ambitious and deeply indebted monarch. King Philip IV of France, who was also known as Philip the Fair, was, frankly, up to his neck in debt to the Knights Templar. He had borrowed heavily from them to fund his wars, particularly those against England. So, he saw the Templars' wealth as the perfect solution to his financial problems and their independence as a real threat to his royal authority. He grew intensely jealous of their power and began plotting their downfall. Philip was a ruthless and cunning ruler who had already clashed with the papacy, and he wasn't afraid to use propaganda or force to get what he wanted. He started up a smear campaign, spreading all sorts of dark rumors about the Templars' secret practices. He accused the Templars of heresy, blasphemy, and honestly, a whole host of other shocking crimes. He claimed that during their secret initiation ceremonies, knights were forced to deny Christ, spit on the cross, and even engage in homosexual acts. These accusations were, well, designed to shock the public and turn popular opinion against the once revered order. He pressured the French Pope, Clement V, who was politically weak and really quite heavily influenced by the French crown, to launch an investigation. But Philip didn't wait around for the church's approval. He decided to act quickly and decisively, planning a coordinated strike against the unsuspecting knights. On a single day, Friday, October 13th, 1307, his orders were carried out. In a dawn raid, Philip's agents arrested thousands of Templars across France, including their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay. The date, Friday the 13th, has been associated with bad luck ever since, and many people point to this event as the origin of the superstition. The arrested knights were imprisoned and subjected to brutal torture, all to extract confessions. Under such duress, many ended up confessing to the fabricated charges. These carefully orchestrated arrests and forced confessions gave Philip the evidence he needed to destroy the order and seize its assets. The trial of the Knights Templar was, to put it bluntly, a sham. It was completely controlled by King Philip's agents, and the confessions, which were extracted under torture, were really the only evidence. Despite all this, many knights, including Grand Master Jacques de Molay, Fitzstammen en Crowden Man Maori Bermandai, to be Roden Stopper, Aver Lar later date Statter en Brever, Ritstamedi Dai Gacker Bergansen Sapper canted or stackended their confessions once they were free from the torturer's hands. They bravely defended the order's innocence, but sadly, it was just too late. Pope Clement V, under immense pressure from Philip, officially dissolved the Knights Templar in 1312, not because they were proven guilty, but simply because their reputation had been too badly damaged. Their property was ordered to be transferred to their rivals, the Knights Hospitaliers. Though, Philip IV managed to keep a significant portion for himself. The final, tragic act of this whole drama took place on March 18, 1314. Jacques de Molay and another high-ranking Templar, Geoffroy de Charnay, were brought to a small island in the River Seine in Paris to be burned at the stake. As the flames rose around him, de Molay is said to have issued a final, defiant curse. He proclaimed the innocence of the order and summoned both Pope Clement V and King Philip IV to appear before God's judgment within a year. The curse seemed to have, well, an immediate effect. Pope Clement died just 1 month later, and King Philip died in a hunting accident before the year was out. The sudden end of such a powerful order and the dramatic curse of its leader left many questions unanswered. Chief among them was the fate of the legendary Templar treasure. When Philip's men raided the Paris temple, they found it nearly empty. The vast stores of gold, silver, and precious documents were simply gone. Where did it all go? Theories, of course, abound. Some believe the Templar fleet, which mysteriously disappeared from the port of La Rochelle, sailed away with the treasure to Scotland, or even perhaps North America. Others think it was hidden in a secret location, maybe beneath Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland, a site filled with mysterious carvings. The legacy of the Knights Templar continues to fascinate and inspire. Their story contains all the elements of a great epic: piety, bravery, power, greed, and betrayal. The mystery of their lost treasure and the theories of their survival in other forms, like the Freemasons, have fueled countless books, films, and conspiracy theories. They represent a collision between faith and worldly power, and their dramatic fall serves as a cautionary tale about how quickly fortunes can turn. Whether they were saints or sinners, the Knights Templar have carved a permanent place in our collective imagination, a symbol of a lost secret world just waiting to be rediscovered.